Yo, GM, GM. What is good, everybody, on this Wednesday afternoon? Might be having a little bit of a connection issue. I'm not too sure. If there's anyone in the chat, if you can let me know if you can hear me, if the video is working. We'll get this underway shortly. Lots going on in the world, to put it lightly. Just checking up on a couple things before we get started. Put out a quick post. I think the connection's working. It seems like it's working. I don't know. We'll see. How is everybody doing today? Sorry, I'm just sending out a post. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Moses says GM to you too. The Crypto Penguin says, can hear you on YouTube, don't see any screen share yet. Can you see the, just the background banner with my avatar face there in the middle, or you can't see anything in terms of video? JJ, what's up, buddy? Thank you for being here. GM. It looks like it's working on X. I'm assuming it's working on Twitch. I just don't know about YouTube. But if you are having struggles on one, oh, you can see the avatar. Okay. So I haven't shared my screen yet. I just want to put out a quick post, and then we'll get underway. Tariff volatility giving me whiplash. Yeah, I mean, it's just headline trading, right? Like, it's hard to get a solid read when it's not really about liquidity resting at levels that we're hunting right now. It's just sort of the whim of every little macro headline. And potentially Bitcoin being viewed as a safe haven out of all this tariff nonsense, away from the tariffs, not tariffable. A place to store value in an uncertain world. We're still very correlated to equities. Like, you can just see the price movements almost identical on Bitcoin and SPX, and every little move. So it makes it a little bit harder to make a bias. And it doesn't help that yesterday we put in that daily lower low. Sorry, let me just finish writing up this message. I'll send it and then we'll get out of the way, because I want to just focus here. Because like I've been alluding to in the Daily Edge Telegram channel, I've been having a bit of a difficult read. Like, we had a long setup outlined yesterday that the area hit and it started looking like it was going to hold, but then we lost the daily level, which was the primary thing. And so now my read is a little bit off, because we've made a daily lower low, but we're attempting to try and reclaim a weekly level, which I think is the more important level, but we'll get to that. How are you all finding the situation? A little bit difficult to navigate. Or do you feel like your bias is intact? Like, how are you guys feeling about it? Okay, let me post this and then retweet from the Daily Edge and ChainEDGE, and we can get this underway. Probably not expecting a huge turnout today, just given like people are unsure of what to do right now, right? So I think a lot of people aren't spending their time on Twitter, or maybe they are spending their time on Twitter. Who knows? Okay, where's this post? Let me just retweet these. And of course, guys, always appreciate the love. If you can like or repost or share any of the videos to get more viewers, always appreciated. We got some people trickling in. Love to see that. Almost done here. Just about done here. Sorry. Not overly organized this morning. Or I guess this afternoon. I mentioned yesterday that my son has been home for a few days with, I don't know, some kind of sort of cold or flu or something. So he's still been home. Had to deal with some cleanup. Had to deal with some cleanup today, which was always fun. I'm sure you can use your imagination to figure out what that means. Moses says, wild to navigate, but always looking for the path of least resistance when trading. Still, headlines are insanity, but they're swinging prices along path of least resistance still, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, as long as your high time frame levels are solid, you can frame trades around them. The thing that I was finding difficult, here, let me pull up my screen. Let me pull up my screen. And I kind of just want to run a top down on Big Daddy, BTC. So, I mean, in terms of where we're at, I mean, on a weekly time frame, we're trading below the weekly level, right? It's attempting to get back above it. And I'm kind of viewing it as like, if we get back above this level, I think you're long biased because it shows strength, right? Like, yes, yesterday we got this daily lower low close and we're still trading below that weekly level. And I'm trying to decide how significant that is compared to the weekly level. Like, this is where I'm running into a bit of a little bit of trouble. Trying to determine where we go from here. Because like on a daily time frame, making the daily lower low would tell me that, you know, we've broken market structure once again and we'd go lower. But a solid case to be made that if we get back above this level on weekly and we save this weekly candle, like, still intact, right? And now we've taken out this weekly low. So I think why don't we just start fresh here? Let's just start fresh and see what we got. Let's zoom out to monthly. We'll mark out our key monthly areas, right? We had our previous all-time high monthly close. Clearly an important level, right? Like monthly managed to hold that area. We have our more recent range from last summer. Well, from last spring to last summer, all-time highs on monthly there. And by the way, when I'm marking it out on monthly, I'm looking for the monthly close, right? Like this was just looked clearly a deviation. Monthly close back below, tagged it. And so like that's the previous all-time high, really. Like, yes, price traded up to here. a bit higher than what this level was, but in terms of a range, like that was your previous all-time high, and then you can see how important that monthly is, right? On monthly, I like to go by closes, and not just the wick, because this is just, you know, you get a monthly wick like that, that's just telling you, oh, people are running for the exits, right? At that point, running for the exits. Well, and we had that similar reaction here. Okay, so there's our key monthly areas. Come through here and we can say, okay, here's our monthly. Here's our monthly demand. Right, here's monthly demand. This region here is monthly demand. You go to weekly. Here's the weekly level that was lost when we broke the range. Going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, already a month and a half. That's pretty crazy, right? Like time is flying by. We've got that that weekly level. We were in that previous weekly range, right? This was that SFP of the weekly high, and then we can see the carnage has taken place after. One thing that is a little bit confusing on weekly is this weekly candle didn't actually break structure, right? It wasn't until the week after. So like, is this the true weekly level? Or is this the true weekly low? Well, now we've taken out both, right? So that's kind of interesting. You can also mark out our weekly supply. You just kind of say it's this whole region here. That's what you'll be looking for on a weekly bounce up into supply, if there's going to be a weekly bounce towards there. It's where a weekly weekly lower high may form, is somewhere up in there. If we manage to get a bounce up into there, like you are definitely looking at that area as a reason for shorts, unless we start closing. You know, you get a weekly close, but then you're back to all-time high. So it's like, you want to be able to position much earlier than that to flip long, right? But we have these two weekly levels. We've now taken them both out. Price is attempting to get back above this weekly level. You know, like, is this region still on the table? I mean, absolutely, right? There's no, given everything that's going on, things could continue to break and implode on the global markets, right? Like, the situation is global now, but like, is capital flight out of equity markets around the globe realizing that the tariff situation is bad for all markets, or like all equities? Is a capital flight from equities into something like Bitcoin underway? I mean, potentially. That's what the talking point about Bitcoin has been for a long time, right? Hedge against inflation, store of value, censorship resistant, unaffected by one government or another. It's self-sovereign, right? Like all these ideals about Bitcoin. Well, like that's what you would hope to see it shine in moments like this, and especially if liquidity does start getting turned on around the globe. We have that key level. Let's get all these lined out. Oops. This is now our weekly. Well, we'll just leave that for visualization purposes, so we can see how we got here. This is our weekly high, by the way. That's our weekly swing high. Weekly swing high. Both of these lows have been taken out now. We can move to daily. We can take a look at 3-day. 3-day may actually save this level, right? Like If the weekly and 3-day gets saved, like if this closes above today, 3-day closes in 7 hours. So if this closes above here, it actually saves the 3-day low. This is the 3-day low. 3-day range. It's a bearish range though, right? Like weekly, daily, 3-day, all bearish ranges. But if it manages to close above here, it saves the 3-day, and then this is looking like a pretty decent spring. The one thing that's tripping me up a bit is daily, right? Like there's no doubt about it. Daily has made a lower low. But now we've taken out that weekly level. We have this area of supply here on daily. There's also an area of supply up here. So here's where the swing high on daily would be. There's your swing high. It created the lower low. So it has levels of supply overhead. Like there's supply here, there's supply here. I'm starting to lean more towards though, like if this gets back above, this was just a deviation below the range on daily. Like yesterday I posted, I was like, it's not a good sign. Daily made the lower low. But after thinking about it some more and then observing the weekly level, I think the key thing is whether or not the weekly level is able to be held. Sorry, just typing something. So I'm leaning more towards, yes, this can see some selling, but if we can save this weekly level, if we get a weekly close back above, if we get a weekly, like if weekly manages to just be SFPs here, that's a pretty strong signal. Like I'm not in a rush right now to position, but things are looking decent with here, right? Like we took out this weekly low, we've taken out this weekly low. I don't love that we now have this daily supply, but we've got, today's Wednesday, 4.5 days to save the weekly level. I think that's quite reasonable to do, right? Like even if we get, say, daily close gets above here and it rejects from here and then comes back down here, if we save the weekly level, that would look quite bullish. Right, but we're really looking for it to start closing back above. And it's pushing up into that level right now, right? Like these are good signs. We can drill down onto lower time frame, like H4. What do we have here? So this is daily supply, and we can see this whole cluster of price action, right? So the daily, the 4-hour range highs here. Excuse me. Like here's our 4-hour range, right? Our H4. Which also just so happens to be fairly aligned with the Monday range, right? The Monday range high doesn't go to the top, but the bottom of the range is the Monday low. And now we're sort of at mid-range, interacting with that weekly level there. So it does have some supply here to work through. That daily supply. And I think what might actually happen and what could be fairly bullish is if we get price up into here, and it probably rejects from somewhere in here, right? But if it flips this daily, this daily supply into a breaker, right? Like if we manage to flip this, yes, it has more supply overhead, which is why I think we're ping pong. But if it flips this into a breaker, rejects from here, and holds here and holds the weekly level into the close, I think that starts to look quite bullish. I mean, it's attempting to push up through it now. We're back above the Monday mid-range. I would monitor what happens at the Monday high. We also have a level here. It looks likely that it'll close through that. You know, you have a bunch of highs up here on H4 to look for potential SFPs if this is going to go back down. But I could see a scenario where we close up through here, close above this daily breaker, which would be a daily close above here, right? Not just an H4, but you get a daily close above this breaker and start to reject into here and come back down into here. I could see that as being a long. You know, like, so you get your daily close up here. You get some sort of SFP somewhere here that sends you back down into here. Well, I think in here is where you're looking to get long again, right? Hold the weekly level. Like, there's a lot of confluence around that area. Right now, I'm just trying to find the highest probability setup, right? And longing into this supply doesn't feel like the move. No, yes, I did. So what was it we were monitoring yesterday? It was this here, right? It was this breaker here. It's holding, and then the daily level failed. It closed below. I actually took a quick short here as soon as we closed the daily below. As a quick, very quick short. But now we've recaptured that, and we've actually made an H1 higher high, right? We've made two H1 higher highs here, actually. So we're starting to see lower time frame bullish stair stepping. We just have to be aware we're approaching higher time frame supply. And I don't know that it's necessarily going to get eaten through too easily, but it is looking promising here. I don't personally want to long into supply. I think if over the next, like, yeah, I want to take low time frame, like I want to take scalps. And realistically, the stop that I had in place when we were looking for this long here was 74K, and it didn't breach it, right? Like, that trade actually wasn't invalidated. I just was taking the signal from the daily level getting lost. But there's reasons here to think that that daily move was just a deviation. So a little bit of a fuck up on my part there. But we move. I do think some sort of price action like this, flip this daily supply into a breaker, you're looking to bid somewhere in here. I think that's actually the move. Because then you've recaptured the weekly. Like, no, you haven't gotten the weekly close by then, because this probably happens over the next day or so. Like, yes, you could try and take this long here and to get up into here. It feels a little risky longing into this area of daily supply now. Right? Like, this is supply. Flip this supply into a breaker, run up into this supply here, get a pull back down into here. I think that's the move. Because then you're setting yourself up for a longer term trade, right? You get an entry somewhere here, you put your stop. You could probably tighten up, because I don't think you want to be seeing it get back below the weekly level if this is going to hold. This does look promising though. But you're seeing sellers step into this supply. This whole region here is all supply. You also have the Monday high right there. So there's a few ways you could frame trades around this, right? Like, you could be looking at it just from the Monday range, right? recapturing the mid. Maybe it's a retest of the mid up to the high. Like if you want to just take quick scalps on it, like that's a valid setup. You have this highs up here that it might be looking to take out liquidity. You have the H4 high up there. Like I'm just looking for different ways to frame trades around here in different time frames, right? Let me turn these off. Like you guys know, I've been experimenting with some EMAs and the DEMA on lower time frame. See how good of a signal they've actually been. I think because there's no clear trend right now, trying to use these isn't the best of signal. Turn those off for now. You can see how that weekly level and this overhead daily supply is starting to is keeping price down a bit, right? So I don't want to be getting too bullish into this region. I think it would be much better to flip this supply into a breaker, run up into an area here, try and catch the long from here. There's a lot of moving parts right now, and I don't want to like get too, I don't want to jump the gun on things here, right? Like there's a lot of moving parts taking place. And this very well could just stuff down again from here, right? You can see how the supply is acting as supply. We have recaptured the Monday mid, so there is a case to be made that you're long from the Monday mid. If it loses the Monday mid, you cut, and you're long up to the Monday high. It's not a lot of distance though. But like, where would you place your stop on something like that, right? Like Monday mid is here. Maybe it's here. Let's see. Yeah, like maybe you're looking for this to hold on H1. I just don't really want to trade on H1 in this environment. And look, we can see this reaction starting to come through, right? And this is the H4 move, right? It's incredibly choppy. So I'm not in a rush to position. I also don't want to get caught not being positioned if we're truly putting in the bottom here, right? And there's speculation that the Fed's going to have to turn on QE. And I think in which case, there's your green light to just like go full throttle, full porting, not financial advice, but full porting into crypto, more specifically Bitcoin, but there are going to be faster horses. I just don't want to get chopped up in all of this under the speculation that QE is going to take place, right? Like I just want to see a clear trade setup. And I think the clearest one for me right now is if daily flips this breaker, you're using it as a base to get long. I know that doesn't sound sexy or actionable right away, right? But a lot of the time it is just patience and waiting, right? Because this whole area here, daily supply, weekly low, there's a lot going on right here. Right? There's like a battle taking place. You can see in the price action, right? Yes, your H4 range is up here, range high, range low. This is significant in my opinion. So if you can flip this, you may not even have to wait for a daily. Like if H4 can flip this, then you're looking for this to act as a breaker to get up into there. I just don't want a long here. Like if the intention is to long or a longer hold, more like a swing, longing at 78K versus like 80K doesn't mean anything, right? Like it's such a small difference. Whereas longing into supply with your invalidation back all the way down here, like you just have to take risk adjusted too, right? Like you need to adjust your position sizing off of your stop loss and adjust accordingly. I know this might be more of a rambling one. It's just, this is me trying to talk through my thoughts as I'm trying to figure out how I want to play this right now. Because I don't want to be sidelined, but I also don't want to chop myself up unnecessarily. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. How's everybody doing in the chat? Have you guys been taking trades today? I have some buddies that have been trying to scalp moves and stuff like that. Here's my read today is not as clean as I'd want it to be. I was feeling quite locked in, but then conditions over the last 24, 48 hours have definitely shifted, and I need to adjust the way that I approach things. Otherwise, I'm going to take poor trades. Let me take a look at SPX real quick and see what's happening. I've also been taking some of this time to clean up my workflows so that I can move quicker, right? So now it's quicker to move through my watch lists. Excuse me. It's a more macro-oriented one. Like, let's look at SPX, right? It's taken out a lot of lows, right? It's taken out a weekly low there. It's taken out a weekly low there. It's taken out a whole fuck ton of weekly lows, right? We've taken out monthly levels now. So this is potentially generational opportunities on SPX. When we start drilling into daily, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. I mean, here's our daily range. There's a lot of gaps to fill on SPX to the upside, right? Like usually when there's gaps, they tend to get filled. Now you've got this daily gap here, which also aligns with supply. It's holding this monthly low. This was something that I drew yesterday. I was like, well, I think SPX might do something like this because there's an H4. There was an H4 gap there. I was like, I think it might do something like this, which would have added fuel to that Bitcoin long we were taking yesterday, but this ended up failing and closing below. So get rid of that. Get rid of this now because that gap was filled. There was a pretty good signal yesterday actually when SPX did an H4 SFP, which aligned with the Bitcoin dump as well. Kind of interesting. You know, like that's how correlated we are. But it's holding this area here. It's just so choppy. And like SPX is not my area of expertise. I'm more, you know, we all know I'm a crypto guy. That I don't want to pretend like I'm in lockstep with the SPX. Like on a high time frame, we were able to mark out levels that have taken place. On low time frame right now, it's just like a battle zone, right? And a fight for liquidity. You know, you had a gap there. Yesterday it gapped up, that got filled. There's no real gaps here. So, you know, the next one I would see is that daily gap. So maybe this aligns with Bitcoin putting in that move that we're looking for, right? And maybe it gets up to here. Tough position. It does look like it wants to bottom, though. At least short term. Yeah, I really don't think there's a rush here to get into a trade. Unless you're doing like M15 scalps and you're like just going schizo on the charts and taking those super low time frame setups, right? Like, which you can do, right? Like, you know, there's setups along the way that have been taking place in here, right? Like, M15 made a higher high, came back down into the breaker. There's your long, right? Like, there's setups you can be taking here. I'm not really into trading on that low of a time frame. You know, on this hourly move, maybe we're looking for this to hold. It's so close to this daily supply. The risk reward just really isn't that great from here for that sort of a time frame. If you're looking at like longer time frame and you're saying, okay, I think this move eventually resolves up into here, or maybe new all-time highs, who knows? Well, then waiting for a sign of reversal is a much better move than trying to scalp down here to chop yourself up. Right, like at the moment, if the Fed is going to interest, and look at this, H4 is tagged that supply, is trading back below that swing level, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. The chop is fucking real right now, right? And the last thing you want to do, if QE is, oh, look at this, headlines hitting the tape right now. Trump raising the tariffs on China to 125%. I mean, not a great fucking environment to trying to. And SPX pumping on it. That's just like, hold on, let's see. SPX getting a decent move up there, right? Like, let's see what some of these tariffs are. I'm reading off my X feed. Raising the tariffs to 125%. Oh, announces 90-day pause with lower reciprocal rate. And look at that move. That's interesting. What is this? Announces 90-day pause with lower reciprocal rate. That's kind of interesting, right? Trying to look and see if there's confirmed here. Okay, here's his actual tweet. Hold on a second. How can I bring this over to my screen? Based on the, like, you guys can read this. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the U.S. to 125% effective immediately. So I don't really see where this 90. Oh, okay. I have authorized a 90-day pause to the other countries. So he's pausing for 90 days tariffs on all other countries except for China and raising it to 125%. I mean, we're seeing the true reason behind these tariffs, right? It's China. And look at this. Market is pumping. Yee. That is crazy. Well, there you go. Market is responding positively to that news. crazy. I mean, that is quite bullish. So we get that daily flip here. This is where I'd be looking to relong. We have the Monday zone here to look out for. Wow, that's quite a move right now. That's just hilarious. Trump's operating the White House like a shitcoin dev. GG. Okay, well, if we flip this, you're looking to rebid in here. I'm not going to chase this candle right now, but this is a significant candle. Sorry, just 1 second, guys. I'm just reading over a few things. Wow, look at that move. This is insane. Okay, well, this certainly changes the dynamic of things, right? Like one positive headline and the market just shows you, okay, we want to shove. And that was the kind of headline you want to shove on. Plan remains the same though. Daily flip this into a breaker, you're looking to long in here. You can even drill down into H4, like we're up into the Monday high. Closes above the Monday high on H4. I think we're getting a setup here, right? Like, unfortunately, we're not in from down here. But this is the making for a much better setup to get long, for a longer term hold. Did I see Farcoin? I see you in the chat there, Moses. Let's take a look. Wow, 35% move. That is crazy. Back above that monthly level too. Looking to make a higher high on 3-day. Looking pretty solid on Farcoin. You can see that breaker held. Farcoin really is the best beta to express your views on the market. What an insane move. Wow, Sol up 8%. You just got to be cautious, you know, like things are running up into supply on daily. Give us a daily flip. Yes, this is constructive and promising, but give us a daily flip. And then we have the foundation to bid the higher low. Yeah, baby. Okay. Up in the Monday high on the H4, 2.5 hours to close. You know, this amount of bullishness, I would think that it's going to close above. Oh, we'll see what happens. Oh, look at that. We were talking about that gap. On SPX, we'll look where it ran right into, right? Up into that gap on daily. Insanity. What a crazy move, though. Okay, well, this is really the market tipping its hand that any whiff of a sign of positive news, it just wants to fly. Capital wants to shove in. And this is not just like a CT thing, right? Like we can see the same thing just took place on SPX. So capital is sitting, waiting for positive headlines. That would give you a reason to lean with a bullish bias. But headlines do cut both ways, right? So you have to be aware of that. But just look how quick and fast that moved off of that headline. This is just liquidity sitting idle, ready to shove. So I really do think you flip this box, you're looking to bid the higher low in here. Running into some issues with that Monday high. Do you guys have any questions at all? By the way, in the chat, let me know if you have any questions or you want me to take a look at any charts. I mean, this has been helpful for me. Because now I see we have this clear area I want to see get flipped. You flip this, I'm looking to bid in this breaker some sort of constructive PA. I'm not going to chase this candle, but I do want to see something constructive into this breaker that I can use to form the next long. %, rise on hot air rises. Let's just scroll through the AVAX up a bunch, ADA up a bunch. I mean, everything is really just pumping. S is up a bunch. XRP, let's take a look at XRP. It's looking like it wants to recapture that high time frame level, right? Right, like it lost a weekly level. Well, now it's trying to get back above. I think if all these coins get back above on weekly, we're back within those range, and then we're definitely long buy. Coins just moving. What you love to see. 20% on Ondo. Ondo. Monthly demand. Weekly demand. Took out a weekly level. See what we're working with on daily. It's looking like it wants to flip this daily level as well, depending on how it closes today. You flip that, Ondo is a really good candidate to go long on a high time frame, right? monthly demand, weekly SFP, flip daily back to bullish, flip the daily level back to bullish structure on daily. You look to buy into demand, which might be this breaker here. Let's just highlight this. You flip that on daily, you look to get long somewhere in here, and you're trying to ride that. Who knows at this point, right? Like if we're finding high time frame bottoms within high time frame demand, this is fuel to send things higher. Things went from being what the fuck to quite positive there. Look at that. Weekly level saved. Looking like it's gonna, close above there. I would look for something in here. I'm not trying to chase right now. I'm really not trying to chase this. But I am looking for a move here. If this closes above here, I'm looking for a move here. I really am. I think that's the best course of action so that you have a plan of attack and that you're not just chasing with FOMO right now. Close above this daily supply, flip it into a breaker. Get your long in here. Stop somewhere. Maybe it's just the weekly level because we really want to see the weekly level hold. If we lose the weekly level, well, then we're looking a whole lot different, right? So you can tighten up your stop. I'll have to take a look and see where I would really put my stop. But give me something like this. Take this away. Like, give me something like this. Just like kind of disregarding the Monday range, just taking this as what is the high time frame telling me? Well, flip that. I think that's your move. Okay, we have a bit of a plan here. I would say similar for Sol, right? Yes, it's running into supply, but if it flips this fair value gap, I think you look in here to long. Or even better, flip the daily. But for some of you, you might be thinking, well, that's a large move to wait for. So maybe if it flips this fair value gap, the close up here, you're looking to bid in here for that to hold for continuation to go up. And then see what happens here. See what happens here, right? This is positive though. SPX just absolutely ripping. Market is telling us risk on. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Amazing. And Bitcoin just continuing to rip. This is beautiful. Give me that H4 close up here. Let me get an entry around here. This is what I'm looking for, truthfully. Okay, everyone, I hope that helped. I hope it gave you a little bit of clarity. Unfortunately, we weren't on board for that move. Daily move yesterday fucking shook me out. Even though I hadn't been invalidated, I utilized the soft stop and didn't let it get to the hard stop. Well, would have been quite a move today. Apologies about that. But the daily bias was telling me one thing. Any questions before we get off? Doesn't look like it. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of the show. The Daily Edge, thedailyedge.com/subscribe, and ChainEDGE, ChainEDGE.io. You can find links in the About section below or in the description for the video or from my X profile. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, all that good shit across whatever platforms you're joining from. You can find links to the Daily Edge 0xRapture's Thoughts Telegram channel, where I write out my thoughts as a journal every day and post setups and different opportunities I come across in crypto. And I want to give a shout out to each of you that have been joining me on these streams during this journey. Once again, I am 0xRapture. This has been Astrology for Men, coffee, charts, and a cigarette, and I will catch up with you soon. Lads, this is looking bullish. Let's fucking go.